Stairway to Wonder by Walter Bound. Journey into the Mystic. My brother Dave and I were finally alone to commune with nature. We were hiking to Harney Peak in South Dakota in 1988. After so much time with sister and mom camping across the country, it was natural to get on each other's nerves. Every now and then, you need time away. Dave strapped his canteen around his neck. We were careful not to take huge swallows. We needed enough for the return. As the first easy mile dragged, the unusual color of sand seemed splattered with sparkling wet silver, slate chips thin and shiny. An old stone building loomed in the distance against the blue sky. The trail grew steeper and more treacherous. It was late afternoon. Huge spruces and evergreens, natural spires, enclosed the trail, providing constant comfort. Streaks of sunlight illuminated particles floating insensibly in the air. What was the worth, the mission of this hike anyway? And why is God always on a mountain, Delphi and Sinai, closer to heaven? The mountain's melody of tripling stones. Huge columns of granite line the trail with alcoves, caves, and havens. We look for elk, moose, mountain lions, and fairies. Many rocks and tree stumps from a distance transformed into creatures fantastical. We rested often. As we rounded the last curve, 12 crude stairs seemed out of place. Civilization in the wilderness, serpentine in design, which made me highly suspicious with my obsession with symbols. Serpent, 12 out of place in time. The mysterious stone building, that tower, had drifted like a dusty cloud. But we were standing on bare ground. There was no roof, but a path led underneath that silenced the song. A long, narrow staircase led to the upper chamber. The place was eerie. Our footsteps and the tripling of stones were the only sounds. We found ourselves on a plateau, enclosed by large boulders. The wind, nay spirits, dare I say, swirled around us. Where was the entrance to the tower? Would goblins be guarding the gate? To the right, I quickly found one. A gate, not a goblin. A barbaric yelp that echoes through the valley. At the entrance, by the gate, a silver-plated plaque read, Valentine J. McGillicuddy, 1849 to 1939. Was he a hermit who lived in the tower? Would we want facts, or would borrowed fiction serve us better? Sam and Frodo to Mordor. A metal staircase directly in front led to a ruined patio. Our spirits uplifted, looking into infinite space. The cathedral spires to the left, the needles soared next to them. The upper level was open to the elements. 12 metal poles supported a wooden roof. We were now at the highest point east of the Rockies. The view was impressive. To the east, clouds hovered off the horizon, casting long, dark shadows upon rolling fields and mountain slopes, giving a black tint to the region. I was alone, which is fine, as I love my own company, though I am a people person. No signs of civilization. I felt insignificant. But was I also one of its wonders? I took pictures. Shouting, my voice echoed for miles. Besides my brother, maybe, who hesitated at my cry? Who stopped in their tracks? Surveyed behind a wing, I shouted another Whitman-like barbaric yelp to the rooftops of the world. Sentinels of stone and shadows of solitude. An urge hit me. Taking off my clothes, I stood naked against forever in the blue. The barbarian in me had to come out, as well as the infant like a newborn. The wind embraced me, the currents. It was there that I had returned to the womb of the world and perhaps back to God. I stood stripped of all costume and pretense. No one would judge me based on my clothes. Each sensation, the wind across my skin, the sun on my body, the solid temporary rock beneath, arrives not as separate data points but as coordinates in an event, a specific point in the four-dimensional continuum that is me, here, now, open to the cosmos. Each breath of mine, now aware of my breath, for once, draws in the South Dakota, filling me with the essence of the sacred. My body, no longer a boundary but a conduit, receives the universal through every pore. Time seems different here. I am out of time. Time is out of me. Time and space are interwoven, Einstein-like. The mountain beneath my feet, the sky above, and this moment all form a single four-dimensional reality bathed in gravitational waves. Like Emerson's transparent eyeball, I dissolved into a temporary awareness, fleeting but powerful, of paradoxical purity. I am nothing, I see all. The distinction between me here and that there evaporates as particles in the current. I am simultaneously insignificant and infinite, a momentary arrangement of atoms yet connected to everything. After several minutes, unashamed, unlike Adam and Eve because I never left Eden, I placed my clothes on and met up with Dave. I'm not sure I ever told him about the naked thing. Hey, Dave, I felt like a god on Olympus up there. He was on the patio. We peered over the ledge. A small pool formed between massive boulders. Since we were hot, to bathe would have been lovely, but we needed a way to the pool. A small cave had the remains of a campfire. Inside, nothing but darkness. Was I hoping to trip over a sleeping bear or a hungover orc? We had to find a passage to this pool. Dave stopped and glanced around, eyes like an eagle. I continued to climb. There was a door below me. I called out, "Dave!" We scrambled over the boulders. No adventure is worth a damn without barriers and obstacles, eh? Dave helped me through the crevice. We found the lower story. I ducked from the low threshold. It was darker here. Pre-dawn, or twilight, colder. Debris was tossed, ruined furniture and broken pipes. I got goosebumps thinking we had stumbled upon some ogre's den or a cyclope's. Cobwebs and dust hung in corners and around my boots. A fuse box with wires hung on the wall and a boarded window on another. With each step, the floor moaned. The hallowed wind, a sense of restless spirit, suddenly released. Were we welcome guests or disturbers to peace? We wandered down to another stone house. Through a window, I spotted the shallow pool. It was glimmering. "Hey, Dave, I found it." A guardian of the stairway. We fit through the crevice. Dave tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to something. A rocky mountain goat resting upon the sun-baked boulders. Her dark eyes, unshakable, marked every move. Although mountain goats are not dangerous, they are unpredictable, especially at close range. I wanted to admit, goat, we're just two nobodies passing through. Don't eat us. Fear passed and gave way to wonder. How much wildness was still contained within us? Without a sound for 10 minutes, we each stared at each other. Was she the hermit, the piper, like Pan? How different life must be for such a creature. Humans can mirror such a life, if courageous enough to release things and attachments. The portal not taken. It was getting late. Unlike the goat, we had miles to go before we could sleep. The air was cooler. Like Adam, who bequeathed names, we could name our new friend. Dave suggested a great name, so we dubbed him Sir Valentine, Keeper of the Castle. Valentine, poised like a marble statue, gave us our final look. We picked up the path and headed back to Sylvan Lake. 12 stairs led to an altar-shaped object. Some spirits could be summoned from the depths of hell, like in Fantasia's Night on Bald Mountain. It seemed strange, a door to yet another dimension. The shadows from towering evergreens kept in step and danced with us. The journey back was easier, the temperatures cooler, the sun no longer a factor, just more of a danger. After 2 miles, we stopped for water. It got me thinking, the quiet hike back. And this was added years later in returning to this mostly youthful journal, as all return passages are usually packaged in reflective silence. I could embody those hawks and eagles, be as pliable as an evergreen that sways and bends but rarely surrenders to the wind, or from a flock of alighting birds. And those mountain names, needles and cathedral and spires, 12 months, 12 Olympian gods, 12 disciples, 12 numbers on a clock representing harmony and completeness. And Valentine, that lovely goat. She didn't need a name, but what value love has for me. Love of family, the land, and one day, a love eternal. Perhaps Emerson is right. Nature embodies secrets like ancient runes or hieroglyphics. We're usually too busy getting and spending and rushing to realize the richness of serenity and nature. I went forth to that tower, as a child becoming a man, and I became that tower, that busted fuse box of brain, of veins and arteries and tendons and nerves, trying to make sense of the nonsensical and mystical, the wind like my breath, my temporal spirit with gaseous words, those staircases up and down, like my moods, high and low, not polar, but more tropical and temperate, and portals, like my love of literature, connecting present to past, to even deeper depths and deeper chambers of infinite space. From the time it took us to complete the last mile, we concluded it was much longer than we started on the trail markers, but we finally made it back to Sylvan Lake. Alas, dear reader, the journey was over. We met up with Mom and Noel, who were sitting on the bridge waiting for us. They had a good time horseback riding. I was glad. Not sure if they had any epiphanies. All that was left were memories stored in this handwritten journal. We all need times like these, on the top of a mountain, for instance, especially being naked in the wilds of the wind. Amen, and happy travels.